Okay, guys, Monday night. Gosh, they roll around quickly. Tonight, we're going to be talking about agents' slang that they use and who actually understands it except for the industry. Stay tuned. Is anyone actually working, or is it just us?
It's just us.
I think
it felt like it today, that's for sure. It felt like it today.
Oh my God, it felt like we were holding the fort.
The nation's biggest sickie day of the year.
Is it?
No, I reckon it is. I don't know officially, but I reckon it is. I reckon it is.
So we were talking about this this morning about, days on market and amount of contracts issued and how many buyers have come through properties. And I said to Mark, this actually makes for a really good segment because I'm not sure anyone out there in the universe really understands that slang except for real estate agents. So we want to break it down for you and also just give you guys some guidelines as to maybe what's normal, what's not normal, how many buyers coming through a property, how many contracts out, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I think the industry sometimes we are so much in that lingo that when we report to the public and people, we talk that lingo and people are just like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I know you used the example this morning about doctors. If a doctor said, I've seen 75 people this week, you'd go, oh, what does that mean? But if an agent says, I had that many people through my open house, people think, is that high or is that low?
Yeah.
They don't really know. So we thought we'd unpack that a little bit today.
Yeah. So usually you'll note sometimes agents will put up tiles on social media or out on marketing literature saying a certain amount of contracts was issued during a campaign, a certain amount of buyers inspected a property during a campaign, a certain amount of offers were received during a campaign if it wasn't an auction style. So what do you consider normal, Mark? Let's talk about at the moment. What is a normal auction campaign at the moment, in your opinion?
In the last quarter, they would go for 4 weeks. They would sell for a little bit above, a little bit below the reserve. Attendees, probably through an entire 4-week campaign, probably 100.
Oh, that would be high, I reckon.
High? 80?
Yeah, I think
80,
that would
20?
be high.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe around 60, 70 through the whole campaign. We would probably be contracts issued. Contracts issued is not as relevant, but people coming through of those 60 to say, can you send me a contract? There'd be 20.
Okay, so can we just talk about that for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because often buyers will ask, have you had any offers? And then the second question they ask is, may I ask how many contracts have been sent out? So guys, understand these days, sending out a contract is the click of a button. Back in the good old days when you probably started in real estate, Mark, sending out a contract consisted of actually physically sending out hard copy contracts. It was a big deal.
Agents made it harder because it was like, that's a lot of work to print out 100 pages. We better make sure it's for a good reason. So this is a while ago. This is sort of 15, 30 years.
So is it an indication?
It could be a big thing.
But is it an indication as to how much interest there is on a property? Ish. But these days I find often a lot of buyers don't even know why they're asking for a contract.
I never did.
And I know with my team, when I'm running my open homes, I've got, my crew there, they're collecting names and details. The question they'll ask as a purchaser is exiting is, could we please send you out any documents? And so often buyers will just go, yeah, that's fine. So we've sent out contracts. Were they interested in the property? There's a potential that maybe they weren't. So it's not a true indication these days as to how many buyers we have, potential buyers we have on a property.
Interesting.
It is. So guys, what does normal look like? Let's talk about buyers coming through properties at the moment. And we're Northern Beaches centric. So at the moment, during a normal campaign, we would be expecting to see, on average, across the board, about 12 to 15 buyers coming through open homes. Now, is that good or bad? And again, we're just talking about the Northern Beaches, but I heard Tom Panos talking on Saturday, and he seems to think that Melbourne is following suit to Sydney at the moment. And I guess we can confidently say that the market is starting to really move in most parts of the country. But certainly on the Northern Beaches, it's become a very, very busy market.
So quickly.
Yep, so quickly. It's changed before our eyes. So on average, at the moment, we are, the expectation is that we should be seeing somewhere between 12 to 15 buyers coming through per property. We are seeing more than that at the moment. I held some open homes on Saturday where we were getting 40 plus buyers coming through. That is a large amount of buyers coming through. About, or at the beginning of the year, or let's talk about the end of last year, we were sort of seeing 4 to 6 buyers coming through. So I hope that can give you guys a little bit of a gauge. Mark, what do you got to say?
I've got to say, really well said, Lisa.
Thanks.
And,
if we're looking pale tonight, guys, it's because we don't have our proper lighting on.
The studio's been changed.
But also
we're building a new studio.
But yeah, we are. We're building a new studio, but also we're coming off the back of such a busy day.
Daniel Dennis.
What's Daniel got to say?
Not legitimate under offer stickers on a sales sign. Now, an under offer sticker on a sales sign is a bit of a fart in the wind.
Yep. Explain why.
I just reckon, look, if you don't have an offer on a property as an agent, you're a bit of a meathead. Like if you're running a campaign for a week and you haven't had an offer on the property, I think it's a bit like.
But under offer. So let's talk about that for a second.
You should have an offer, like whether it's a low offer, higher offer. Yes,
look, I think it depends what market. It depends what market you're in, though, because there are some markets that are still lagging far behind at the moment.
But to generate,
you will catch up, guys.
From those buyers, to generate those offers from those buyers, crap market, good market. You should be doing that as a real estate agent. So I don't know the whole under offer thing. And if for anyone who's just tuned in, we're just talking about Slang. One of the things that's been brought up from Daniel was when agents just whack up an under offer sticker on the signboard. It's a bit of a waste of time.
Now, I'm always asking myself.
They motivate buyers, though.
Well, but does it? Or does it turn them off? So I'm always asking myself, and as agents, we must ask ourselves, is that in the best interest of the vendor? Yep. That's what it comes down to. Yep. So putting a sticker up on a board that says under offer, I don't know. I'm asking the question, is that more about the agent rubbing their chest, or is that in the best interest of the vendor?
Rubbing their chest or beating their chest?
Or beating their chest.
Yep. Just to make sure.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day. So, yeah, again, guys, under offer, what does that mean? That means that an offer has been received. That's basically what it means. Does it mean the property is still on the market? Yes, it is.
Under contract?
Oh, there's another one. That's another one. Yep. So there's under offer, which means the agent has received an offer. I don't know. The property's still on the market though.
Yep.
And then there's under contract, which means the property has been exchanged and it is now within a cooling off period. That is under contract. All right. So can we take another offer and exchange if the offer comes in higher when we are under contract? No, we cannot. Not here in New South Wales, we can't.
You can still put an offer in if a property's under contract.
You can.
And I'll tell you why you should do that. If that offer pulls out for finance, or is thinking of pulling out for finance, or thinking about extending, more importantly, because of finance or a strata, and you've got a cracker offer in, the owner may choose not to extend the cooling off period and go with you. So even if something's under offer, still have a crack.
Still have a crack. We cannot exchange with you, however, while we are under contract.
More slang.
Okay, let's talk about, so we've talked about buyers coming through properties. So we're talking, guys, tonight about agents that, you often see them marketing, the property sold, we had this many people inspect, we had this many contracts out, we were this many days on the market.
22 contracts out, 322 people through, and sold for 200 over the reserve.
And we're suggesting that that is stuff that only the real estate industry understand, but the people do not, because they don't have a gauge. And as Mark mentioned before, if we were surgeons saying that we had seen 75 patients this week, would you know whether or not that was good or that was bad? I saw another comment come up there, Mark.
Oh, which one? So Daniel said, perfectly said, Mark and Lisa. Notice he said Mark first. And Brendan says...
Hey, Brendan.
Hey, Brendan.
Okay, sold his house in Dural, first agent 3 months, and not even a cheeky offer. Changed agent, job well done.
Muppet, 3 months.
How can you not get an offer in 3 months?
That's not normal, guys.
No,
week you should
not normal. Okay, so let's talk about that. What's normal? Your property's been on the market. We're talking about this market at the moment. Your property has been on the market for 1 week. No offers received. Is that normal or is that not normal in this market?
You sort of should have an offer first week. Maybe.
Or at least
in 2 weeks.
Buyer feedback.
1 week, pretty sure you should.
Buyer feedback, at least buyer feedback. So here's how I run, guys. If I have not got an offer from my vendor in that first week, I will most certainly be giving them feedback as to what the buyers are saying when they come through with respect to price.
Yep.
Because I'm asking all the buyers, guys, where do you see value in this property?
That's what every agent should be asking. And then
very powerful question.
And then after that, would you like me to submit that to the vendor? Boom, offer, not hard. And at least the owner's getting some sort of guide of where everyone's talking rather than being a name taker, people in, people out. More slang.
I just want to reiterate on that, guys. Any agents that are watching, very, very powerful question to ask your buyers. Where do you see value in this property? Even if they say, look, I'm not interested, understand buyers are getting through more properties than real estate agents are.
Yep.
So when a buyer turns up to my open home, they have got a long list of properties that they're inspecting on that day. They're a wonderful gauge as to what the value of the property that I've got looks like.
Absolutely.
Very important question to ask.
I love DOM.
What's that? Days on market.
Days on market.
DOM.
So DOM, slang word DOM.
What does it mean?
I think it's a critical number.
Yep.
I think it's probably even more important than auction results. No one ever talks about it. Internal industry would do. Sometimes when a person's selling, we'll talk about DOM, days on market, and it's from when the property first registered on the market online. So through a portal, it'll be measured, realestate.com or domain.com.au, those websites, not particularly the agent's website, and they trigger that as day one, and then they count from day one until exchanged, sold. So that's a big number, because if you see that rapid fire happening in 14 days, on the market, sold, that's quick. But if you see that happen over about a 30 or 40 day period, that's probably normal.
Depending on the area that you're in, guys. Understand we're northern beaches.
I've worked in markets where days on market was over 100 days in DY.
Wow. You must be really old. Mark's much, much older than me.
Off RP data.
He's not.
Off RP data.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone care to guess our age difference, just out of interest while you're here? We'll see if Lisa...
There's a prize for the person that wins.
There's
a prize for the person that wins.
Don't try to compliment Lisa. Just be real. Just be real.
In this lighting, I look 10 years older, FYI.
Do you want me to fix the lighting for you?
No, all good. I want to talk about days on market, though, because that's another one that buyers ask a lot. They'll walk in, they'll go, Lisa, what's the price? How many days has the property been on the market?
People always ask that.
People love to know that. Because they want the shiny new toy. I literally see buyers' eyes light up when I go, oh, it's our first Saturday open. They're like, oh, you can see they're like excited about it. If I'm saying to them, well, we've been on the market about 6 weeks now, they want to know what's wrong with the property. So if a property has been on the market too long, guys, it doesn't necessarily mean there is anything wrong with the property. At the moment, we are in a shifting market. We are in a turning market. If we rewind to the end of last year, days on market for pretty much every property, good, bad and indifferent, were much longer, right? They were much longer. The market was slow. Now the market's done a 180 and we're going to see the days on market really start to come down. Even with some of the properties that I'm running to auction, I'm not doing 4-week auction campaigns. There's too many buyers in the market. We don't need to.
We talked about
We've
this
been doing
today.
2-week auctions.
We talked about this today. I reckon, and keep an eye out, we're the first to say this first, and do this. The industry for 30 years with its old technology, when it started, just did 4-week campaigns. Newspapers were throwing around properties. That's it. There was no digital. That auction campaign should have been brought in tighter, given the introduction of all of the technology that's come out. And we're starting to do that. And I reckon, and you know what I reckon? It's a better result because people are G'd up, pumped up week 1, G'd up, pumped up week 2. Yeah, all the searches.
Do you want to hear why?
3 or 4 weeks is like it's just a flat
Yeah, but guys,
tire.
understand. Look, I have been saying this about our industry since I came into sales 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The industry, God bless it, has been stuck in a time warp.
Yep.
And the reason that we used to do 4-week
auction.
auction campaigns, you're going to laugh when you hear this. Before realestate.com and before Domain, we had newspapers. Guess how often a newspaper came out? Weekly. So 4 weeks of newspaper advertising, and there was your 4-week auction campaign.
Yep.
Guess what?
We
went digital.
We're changing it.
Realestate.com and Domain, and the industry was still stuck in a time warp.
Yep.
But at the moment, there is more than enough buyers out there. 2-week auction campaigns on the vast majority of properties at the moment, as we speak, is more than enough. I ran a 2-week auction campaign on Hawkesbury Avenue DY and had 18 registered bidders on Saturday.
When auctions were invented at a 4-week campaign, that was scary fast. People like, oh my God, you're going to sell this in 4 weeks. It was like 30, 40 years ago. Shit's changed. More slang.
But the industry didn't.
More slang.
I want to talk about what a 5-day cooling off period is.
Yeah.
And what a Section 66W is. This is probably the dialogue I have to explain the most to buyers. When I'm negotiating with buyers, I'm like, are you unconditionally approved or do you require a 5-day cooling off period? And they go, sorry, Lisa, could you just explain to me what that is?
And I get that. Like, what is a cool off what, who, when, where, what?
Cooling off period. So yep, you go.
No, please.
No, you go.
You're doing a beautiful job talking the whole section.
I'll talk about cooling off and you can talk about Section 66W.
Yeah.
So cooling off period is when you have your finance conditionally approved.
Yep.
Usually this is what it's for, and you have not yet gotten your formal approval, your unconditional approval. And so your bank or your broker needs to see an exchanged contract of sale prior to you receiving your unconditional approval. Therefore, a 5-day cooling off period is required. So on offer being accepted by the vendor, we exchange contracts with a 0.25% deposit.
Yep.
We exchange the contracts on a 5 business day cooling off period, excluding public holidays. All right. And during that 5-day cooling off period, you do your due diligence. So you get your formal approval on your finance. You can review pest and building reports or strata reports, and any amendments to a contract of sale, they are done during the cooling off period. So your solicitor, the purchaser solicitor, and the vendor's solicitor communicate with one another. That is ordinarily what that cooling off period is for. At the end of the cooling off period, you need to pay the balance of your final deposit. And we usually used to see a lot of 10%, less your 0.25% deposit, but these days we see a lot of 5%. So that balance then needs to be paid prior to the end of the cooling off period.
Purchaser can pull out?
Purchaser can pull out during that period and they will forfeit the 0.25% deposit. The vendor, however, is committed to the purchaser and cannot pull out during that period of time.
Agent does not pocket the 0.25. The vendor pockets the 0.25.
Vendor, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Other slang?
Section 66W.
Boring.
No. People don't understand what it means.
Okay. It's hard and it's fast. You sign that contract and a lawyer will give you a certificate saying, I'm signing you a 66W certificate. In brief, it says, I've explained to the client the contract and I've explained to the client that the property is going to have not a 5-day cooling off and they're locked in straight away. That's simple. So they're locked in. It's a bit like an auction. Bang, boom, done.
And for a vendor, it's very appealing. Not every purchaser has the capacity to do that.
For a vendor,
yeah, it's very appealing. I've just run a best and fairest, actually, just exchanging right this second. And the purchaser who has won the best and fairest had the capacity to go unconditional. We have their section 66W, we will exchange and the property will be sold.
Other slang. By the way, guys, live show, any questions, slang that you want us to answer, throw them at us in the comments and we'll answer your slang question. Brendan Patmore says that Mark plus 2 years, so you're 2 years older than me.
No, you're 2 years older than me. Brendan, clarify, please.
No. Jay says Mark is 6 years older.
Keep going, guys. This is awesome. This is great. Keep going. I love you guys. Love.
Okay.
All right. I reckon that's a wrap, guys.
Slang? Rental slang. What's rental slang? Deposit taken in rentals.
Yeah, deposit taken. Does that mean then that the property has been taken off the market? No.
Oh, by the way.
Lease has not been signed.
By the way, this is it's slang by action. When agents exchange on a cooling off, they most probably will keep advertising and doing open houses. Very confusing. The buyer's like, I've just put down my 0.25 cooling off. I've just signed a contract. Why the hell are they doing an open? And the agent's like, well, we always do opens. And the purchaser's like, what? So agents don't really explain that on every single transaction and buyers get confused by it.
They do.
It's a bit of slang by action.
We always must act in our vendor's best interest. And the reason that we like to do that as an agency is if that purchaser rescinds during the cooling off period, we didn't lose a week of showing people through, right? It just makes good sense. A hardworking agent, they should do that for you as well.
Mark is older.
This is the best thing I've heard all day.
Other slang.
We can tell you at the end of this.
Other slang in the real estate industry.
This isn't slang, but it's something that comes up a lot. If there is a lease in place of a property, what happens with the lease when you buy the property? So, for instance, I've got a property on the market and it still has a 4-month lease in place. What happens?
Stays with the property. The lease doesn't stay with the landlord, or the lease stays with the property.
The lease stays with the property. So you are purchasing the property. Yeah, with that lease in place.
I've got another good one.
Yeah.
Agents' titles.
Agents' titles, yeah.
So when you see an agent as a listing agent or a selling agent, sometimes there's 3 agents on the ad. Who do you talk to? Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's the primary, the secondary, the team, the whoever. You want the listing agent. You want the person that is dealing with the vendor, not the junior. So if you can pick up the phone and ring and nail the person as the listing agent, normally it's the first agent on the ad as to give you some clues. They do that so they get the kudos that once the property is sold, it goes under their name because it won't go under the second person's name. So often it's the first person on the ad. So it's a good way that realestate.com's done the work for you to find out who the lead agent is, to who's talking with the vendor. Other slang?
Not other slang, but and it's just slipped my mind now, so just keep going for a second. It'll come to me. As I said, it's been a really long day today. I know what it was. This is not slang, but while we're just talking about what's norm and what's not, you put through an email inquiry to a real estate agent. What is the normal time for an agent to come back to someone?
Or a message.
So an email inquiry, which I still find very barbaric because I think emails are so barbaric now. But email inquiry goes through offrealestate.com or domain. What is, in your opinion, the normal time frame that agent should respond?
Are you asking an agent, or are you asking a buyer, or are you asking a seller?
No, I'm asking you. You've put an inquiry through. What's the expectation? When do you reckon?
I would expect, my sloppy expectation, my expectations are a bit sloppy, that in the industry, if you put inquiry in, you would generally hear back same day.
I reckon people are lucky. Yeah, Brendan, I reckon you can answer this. I reckon people are lucky if they hear back from most agents 24 hours later. We have a 10-minute rule, so we have to respond within 10 minutes.
Try us.
And we are very, very speedy.
Yep.
But I reckon the industry norm, because we're putting email inquiries out often, we need to find out, we're bringing a property on and we need to ask agents, what a property is guiding or what a property is sold for. And I have to say, on average, I rarely hear back within 24 hours.
And if you select
I rarely do.
If you select an agent and you're a seller, how the hell do you know how quick they're going to get back to your buyer? Fact.
You got to try them.
I reckon you got to try them.
Yeah, got to try them.
A sneaky email address from a friend or something, get them to try it out.
Yeah, you do.
You know what? If their heart's in the right place, bang, they're on their inquiry.
Yep.
If they're sleepy, then you'll see straight away. So they may be really active
how they're
on the
treating your
presentation and sleepy on the buyer front.
Amen to that. Amen
to
to that.
Slang before we go?
No, we're at 27 minutes almost. I think we just need to wrap up with telling people that I am older than Mark by a few years.
Ready?
Four and a half.
Ready for this? Ready for these?
Northern Beaches agents were so bad. Not me, Brendan. Not me.
That was the suspense. Yeah, Brendan reckons Northern Beaches agents were really bad with going back to buyer inquiries. Yeah, and look, it does depend on the market, because they are more proactive in a market that's where they're desperate, and when they're not so desperate, they're a bit more cool cats, longer delay times with coming back to inquiries. Novak, 10 minutes.
Hustle beats talent when talent won't hustle.
Buyer's market, seller's market, any market.
Yep.
I think we've got some good slang out today.
I've got to go exchange a property.
I know Jay's got to say something as well before we go.
Hey, Jay, how you going? Industry standard, I think, should be within 2 hours. My average is under 30 minutes, but depends on if it appointments when they come in. Fair enough. And that's awesome. Like, I think that's a super
I reckon if you're doing 2
hours
time as an industry, that's great.
I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's great service. Just out-service your competition, guys. Have a wonderful Anzac Day tomorrow.
Yep.
Try and enjoy, relax, and salute to the Anzacs, guys.
Play some two up.
Lest we forget.
Good luck. And lest we forget.
See you guys.